guest is known as the man who saw it all before everybody saw it. We're talking about a year ago, October, during the first month of Fox Business's young life. He predicted the global economic meltdown and the Dow falling below 10,000 that is now bringing the market to its knees. And now he says things are going to get even worse. Great. Especially if we pass this massive spending stimulus plan. He is Peter Schiff, Euro Pacific Capital President and author of Crash Proof, How to Profit from the Coming Economic Collapse, which is here now, actually. He'll be spending the last hour of trading with us today. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Liz.
Worse? Define worse. Can you?
Oh, I mean, it's going to get horrific if we pass these stimulus plans. And remember when they passed the first stimulus, when I was talking on Fox Business, remember Bush's $200 billion, whatever that original stimulus was?
People got the checks for $500 to $700.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that would help make it worse, and they would come back with a bigger stimulus. The stimuluses are basically the equivalent of throwing gasoline on a fire. The problem with our economy has always been too much spending and too much borrowing. Unfortunately, the solution is this recession. The solution is that credit is reined in, that Americans don't go and buy new cars and don't buy new houses and start saving their money. We need capital available for private enterprise.
You've talked about how what we're doing is we've got a very cracked foundation. And instead of fixing the foundation, we're building a brand new building on top of a foundation that's going to collapse.
Sure. I mean, people don't understand that what's happening now is not the problem. This is the consequence of the problem. The problem was the phony consumer credit-driven economy that we lived under for so long. And, you know, the real crisis is not here yet. The real crisis is the one that we're making now. Once the bond bubble bursts and the dollar collapses, then we're going to have sky-high interest rates and consumer prices at the same time.
You've talked about lines. You've talked about food lines and lines for things because people won't be finding that it's profitable to manufacture anything anymore.
Well, the reason we're going to have lines for food is I think the government is going to put price controls in on food and energy, because all the inflation that the government is creating right now is going to lead to sky-high prices for those types of goods. And what the government is going to do is repeat the mistakes of the 1970s.
We're Russia. Lines for food. That's what Peter says.
Well, they're going to put on price controls, and that creates shortages.
Let me just quickly mention, though, that you've come under attack by these bloggers lately. And, of course, you can't believe every blogger that's out there, but the Journal jumped on this. And they wrote an article saying that while your forecasts have been spot on, the way you've invested your money isn't. They say Peter Schiff predicted the collapse of the U.S. financial system. The bust-up he didn't foresee was the one that made mincemeat of investors who took his advice of pouring into gold and pouring into certain things.
Well,
what is your defense?
Well, first of all, they weren't minced meat. Anyone that bought gold was actually...
some are down 70%.
Well, no, there was a couple down 60, but one of the guys in the article was only down 35%. But they're looking at part of the strategy. They're looking at foreign stocks. Sure, all stocks went down in 2008. But my strategy was not for 2008. I've been pursuing this strategy for almost a decade. It did very well from 2000 to 2007. It's already doing very well in 2009. And if you look at the next 3 to 5 years, I think even the clients who came in at the worst possible time, who were down 60%, I think they're going to have staggering profits by the time Obama leaves office.
You had a bad year. All right. Jobless claims are still soaring. That, I'm sure, plays into your whole picture. And an ugly jobs report is expected for tomorrow for the month of January. When will we see the unemployment tsunami recede? And will that be the sign of an economic recovery? Sandra Smith, what do you think?
I'm going to agree with Peter Schiff right off the start here, and the fact that it's going to get a lot worse before it's going to get better. I think that the market's already bracing for a very ugly jobs number tomorrow, Liz. And we've already seen in the past week Macy's, Eastman, Kodak, and Starbucks cut. But with most economists saying it's going to get better in the second half or the first half of 2010, I think we're going to start to see these companies not be cutting so many jobs in the second half.
Robert Cray, they always say unemployment numbers are a rear view indicator.
They are, and the market tends to try and rally 6 to 9 months ahead. We've seen a couple of false start rallies. We may be witnessing one here today. Unclear. We won't know for some time. But clearly it's going to get a little bit worse. I mean, economists I've been talking to, traders, don't see it abating this month or next month. Because keep in mind, all those huge announcements we've had in the past week or two, they won't be taking place until the next month or two. So we are going to see these numbers at least stay at this level, if not increase a little bit, before they start to recede a little bit, perhaps later in the year.
Peter, I know you think it's going to get worse. How much worse will the unemployment rate get?
Well, I don't even think the unemployment rate does justice to how bad it is, but I think we're going to have tens of millions of Americans unemployed, specifically if we continue to follow these programs that we have now. You know, she said it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's not going to get better until we change course, until the government cuts spending, until we have rational monetary policy, until we do everything the exact opposite of what we've been doing. It's not going to get better.
Won't that push us into a depression?
No, what's going to push us into the depression is the policies that we're pursuing now. We're going to have a severe recession. There's no way around that. We have to rebalance our economy. But if the government keeps blocking the free market from functioning, we will create another Great Depression, only an inflationary depression.
I told you, folks, he's a joy to be around. The closing bell ringing in 47 minutes, but he's been right. We'll talk to the people making the trades. That's in our flow.